Hello and welcome back to art class. We're going to be finishing up our Day of the Dead or Dia de los Muertos masks. So let's dive in. What we're going to need is you're going to want to be looking at that PDF file. Some of you may have printed it out, but you can just kind of cycle through it on your iPad because it should be in your Google Drive at this point, and you can find pictures. And here you have your practice sheet. You will want to have markers later. I think markers are a good way to have nice bright colors, because remember that is a requirement of a Day of the Dead type picture, because it's a bright, happy celebration, not meant to be scary or Halloweeny. Okay. We'll deal with the markers a little bit later. Our focus right this second needs to be on drawing. So we should have already the basic skull made, where your cheekbones are. Hopefully you got your jaw in there. You should have your teeth, your nose, your eye sockets, and I had you put in eye holes just in case you want to turn it into a mask. I thought about it over the course of the week, and I am going to allow, if you don't want it to be a mask, you just want it to be a nice picture, and you want to do what they have done in some of these pictures here, where they have a flower in the eye socket, then you are going to go ahead and then erase, and then you can draw the flower over the eye socket, and that is totally fine. So it does not have to be a cutout mask. I just want to give people that option. So in fact, because I've made a mask in the past, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and erase it. I'm going to put the flowers in, because I've never actually drawn the flowers in the eyes before. So I want to try something new even for myself. So I'm just going to go in, and I'm going to just erase. If you want to make it a mask, remember, just keep that there, and you'll just have to cut out the eye holes so that you can see out of your mask. So remember, your design needs to be symmetrical. So whatever you do to one side, you do the other. It's one of the reasons why there is that fold right down the middle, to help you see where it should be. If you need to put that fold back in, give it a little pinch here. That will give you an idea of where things are, because you notice my nose is centered right on that fold there. You want to keep it with vines, flowers, hearts, swirly lines. You can see a sunflower in this one. This one has like a flower design around the outside of the eye socket itself. You can see just kind of this happier type, kind of like water splash. There's a diamond. All right. So there's a big rose, but again, it's centered so that it looks pretty symmetrical on both sides. So lots of different things you can do. I'm going to start off with the eye sockets, because like I said, I've never done actually one with the flowers in the holes. I've always turned them into masks, so I want to try something new. So I need a center to my flower. And it should be the center of both of them, so it kind of looks creepy right this second, because it looks like he's staring at me. And then I'm going to put a flower petal. Please remember that your picture does not have to look exactly like mine. You have lots of examples to look at. You can even do a hunt online if you wanted, because your iPad does do a Google search. I still need to be able to see the eye socket a little bit, so I'm going to put that back in there so they can see that. Yeah, I like that. So then I try to match what I did over here. Now, does it have to be 100% the exact same? No, it does not. But should it be fairly close? Yeah, it should. So I'm just going to continue on with my design at this point, and I'm going to kind of go speed up the video just so you can watch me do it kind of quickly, and then we'll talk about coloring when we get to that part. So here's my picture. It's pretty symmetrical. There's some minor things that I see that are a little bit off, but as long as you're really pretty close, I'm not going to have a problem with it. Next job is to do some coloring. You may even want to have a Sharpie marker handy for this project, but most of it should be able to be done with a regular set of markers. Now, if you don't have markers, colored pencils will work just fine, or even crayons. I just wanted the brightness of markers to get going on this. Couple things, like the eye sockets, the parts behind the flower here should be dark. Same thing with the nose hole. So it should be something dark. Now it could be black, yes, but purple is pretty dark too, so is brown. So in this case, any of those colors would actually work just fine. So in this case, I think I am going to go with a purple being the very dark behind the eye sockets. Now, because a lot of this is detailed, you might be using the tip of the brush a bit, or the marker a bit more than normal. And that's okay. Just remember not to be pushing hard on it. If you flatten out the tip, they're kind of useless for small spaces at that point. And yes, it should match on both sides because, as we talked about before, it is symmetrical. And then while I have the purple out, I am going to look for different spots that I actually want purple to be. Now, the majority of the mask should still be left white. So like this is all background here will be left white because it is a skull after all. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that nose while I'm thinking about it. Black. Now remember, you can make a few adjustments here and there once you start coloring, but it's best to usually follow your drawing unless there's something major you need to fix. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to speed up the video and go ahead and continue coloring, and then I'm going to go over what to do with a Sharpie if you have it and want to use it at that point. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so my design is pretty much done. This is where the Sharpie kind of comes in handy. Number one, you could do this probably with the marker, Crayola marker. I like Sharpie because the tip is a little bit thinner and I have a little bit more control, and it's not likely to leak into any of the other colors. And all I'm going to do is some outlining. Number one, I'm going to outline my skull. That's the first thing I'm going to outline. That way I have a nice clean edge to everything. Okay, so there's my outline. And then I purposely left this line not done because I wanted it actually in black. Okay. Now, not everything needs to be outlined, but I picked on mine some of the things that I think would look really good as an outline with Sharpie, but you can still clearly see there were some things that I left along because I didn't think adding a black Sharpie outline to them would help. I do need to go back in and do a little touch-ups in a couple of spots here, and I need to get an eraser. But this gives you the basic idea of what you need to do. Now, should yours look exactly like mine? No, definitely not. You know, you can do some image search and get your ideas, and then if you want to sketch it out even more onto another piece of paper before you go on to the drawing that you're working on, that's fine. What I do need you to do as soon as you're done with your coloring, then you're going to snap a picture of it. If you plan to turn it into a mask, snap a picture before you do the cutting and then after you do the cutting. That way, if something goes off with the cutting, you have a good picture of it before you did it. And that way you can turn in just a picture, whichever one looks better to you. Okay, so that's it for the week. All right, we'll see you next week.